Real Madrid will officially sell Gonzalo Garcia this summer. It is happening, it is official, but there will be a lot of confusion about the deal. Of course, Gonzalo Garcia will be going to Arbeloa, to the Premier League, to play for Fulham. An exciting project for him, at least I believe. Do I think this is a step down for his career? Yes. Will it help him develop? For sure. Now, of course, in terms of the individual player, I think this is the right decision for him. Do I believe he could have gotten a little bit of a better step up from Real Madrid? Maybe, there could have been a little bit of a better club than Fulham, but I get it. There's that connection with Arbeloa, and of course, we got this, news that Gonzalo did not train today, and of course, when I saw this, I already knew what was going to happen. There will be a lot of confusion about the deal that's going to happen, because there is a lot of talk about 70 million, but Real Madrid will not have any clauses. And then there's the other side of the deal, where I think that's the right side of the deal, where we will be paying, or we will be getting, 40 to around 45 million for Gonzalo Garcia, but we will be keeping 30% of his rights. If you don't know what that means, let me just cook this video. Let me talk about Gonzalo Garcia. Let me talk about what this means for Fulham, what this means for us, especially on the Rodri deal, because this directly correlates with the Rodri deal, and with the money that we will generate will probably be used for Rodri, but we will talk about it a little bit later on. Now, solely on Gonzalo's talent, and if I believe that he should have been sold this summer. There is one side of me that is really happy with this transfer, because once again, as I already said, Gonzalo Garcia needs to develop more. He needs to play almost every single game, and that is exactly what's going to happen under Arbeloa at Fulham. Maybe he's not going to play every single game 90 minutes, maybe he's not going to start every single game, but most of the games, a player of his stature and talent will already have more quantity of games than the other players at Fulham, especially when, there is a new manager coming in who has already worked with him. That is that Real Madrid link with Arbeloa, where, of course, Palacios from Real Madrid is also linked to Fulham, which I think is a great transfer for him too, and that could be even better for Gonzalo, which he already, has the manager who has already coached him, and a player from Castilla, which, he's already friends with, he has already played with multiple games, and this is for him, this is a perfect deal. I genuinely thought that Gonzalo had the talent to maybe go for like Leverkusen, maybe a Serie A side like AS Roma, maybe even Dortmund, but if this is the right decision for him and he's all for it, and if Fulham are offering all of this money, I think it's a fair choice, honestly, for him. Now, for us as a club, I'm not gonna lie, guys, I think we could have done better. I think we could have kept Gonzalo Garcia if we really wanted to, and we could have used him this season a lot, because I think Endrick is not a better number 9 than Gonzalo Garcia, but he's a better right winger than Gonzalo Garcia. But now it kind of just alludes to that this club doesn't see Endrick as a right winger. They see him as a backup striker. Because when you look at the team right now, there is literally no backup striker other than Endrick. But when you look at Endrick's heat map from Lyon last season, he almost 99% of the time drifted to the right or just started on the right. Which is just, it's weird from Real Madrid not keeping this guy, at least on the bench, for another year, because he's not some old player. He just broke out last season, and it wasn't even a breakout season, if we're being honest. He did really good in the Club World Cup. Preseason was just sensational. Then he had, that one game against Betis in La Liga. He had some okay games then, but he didn't really broke out. He just announced himself to be a huge talent, but if I call that breakout season, I think many people wouldn't agree with me, and I wouldn't agree with that either. But from his point of view, perfect transfer. From our point of view, I think we may have jumped the gun, honestly, because I more so see Endrick as a right winger now, and I saw Gonzalo Garcia being the backup 9, which I thought José Mourinho likes. He has always had those 2 strikers up top when there was a 4-4-2 in place, and when there wasn't a 4-4-2 in place, when he played 4-2-3-1, which is his, favorite position of all time, he has always had at least not elite, but a good backup to the starting number 9, which is going to be, of course, Kylian Mbappe. Now, the deal, I think the 70 million for him would have been nice, of course. This would have paid a loan for Rodri. But the deal, we have to understand that this deal was done under the assumption of Real Madrid keeps 0% of his rights. That means we have no buyback clause, we have no sell-on clause, which means if Fulham were to sell him in the next 5 to 4 years maybe, we would get zero money. Or if Gonzalo Garcia has a sensational season and we want to buy him back in 2 years, we wouldn't have the chance. You know, or, you know, for example, there can be a loan option to buy, which is not the case in there. But we will be keeping some of his rights, which I think is the right decision. And I like this so much, because if we did this, we would be absolutely stupid. Because what if Gonzalo Garcia scores 20 goals next season in the Premier League? We now know that he can be at least an elite backup, or if it doesn't work out with Vinicius and Mbappe, one of them has to go, guys. It's the truth. Or just, we don't trust them that much, being, as the number 9 and the left winger, bring back Gonzalo Garcia. That is that option of Gonzalo Garcia now coming back, because this will probably be the final deal. It has been reported by many, many reporters. The Cope has finally changed their info, because once I saw this, I was like, I don't think this is true. And once again, as we know, Cope likes to change their mind. Breaking, Gonzalo Garcia to Fulham, updated details. Fulham will pay 40 million plus 2 million in bonuses to Real Madrid. Already a really good deal. Because this basically pays for 60-50% of the Rodri deal, which is crazy. And Fulham will acquire 70% of his rights, while Real Madrid will keep 30%. And honestly, guys, as long as you have 10% of the rights of any player, you have something on that player. That he can be either brought back, he can either be, sold on later on, and you get the percentage, which I think is sensational business from us. Do I think we should have kept him? Maybe still yes, but this is sensational business. This is better than getting 70 million now for sure. This means that in any future sale, Real Madrid will receive 30% of the fee. Cope has changed that info from 70 million for 100%, which was reported before, where we wouldn't be keeping any rights of Gonzalo Garcia to 42 million for the 70%. Now, if you don't understand what does it mean to, keeps players' rights, this is what it basically means. You keep some of the players' rights, and then you have these different clauses, which could be a sell-on clause, buyback clause, first refusal right, and a loan with an obligation option to buy, which we will have a sell-on clause. The buyback clause will be there, but I don't know if it will be 30%, plus the fee that will Fulham basically ask for him. But we will definitely have the first refusal right, which the club sells the player but retains the right to match any future incoming offer from another team, which I think is the same option we included in the option when we sold Nico Paz to Como. If basically, Arsenal comes in the next 2 years and or in the next year, sorry, with the Nico Paz deal, it's the next year. If they come in next year and they want to offer 100 million, if Real Madrid want to, they can match the offer and Como will have to sell to Real Madrid. That's basically what would have happened, and the same can happen with Gonzalo Garcia. I don't know how long we are keeping those rights for. I don't really understand that part of the deal because it has not been revealed how long these rights are there. But I assume we are keeping those rights for all time. It's not just going to be a limited deal, because with Como, we have already been in discussion a lot over Nico Paz, but this is our first discussion and, negotiations with Fulham over Gonzalo Garcia. So I think this is a really, really good thing to have on Gonzalo Garcia, because, for example, as I said, he has an elite season. We can have a sell-on clause if Fulham decide to sell him, or we can match the price of the club that is trying to buy Gonzalo Garcia, and Gonzalo Garcia will be offered to us first, because if the new club decides to sell him, Fulham, they must offer him to the original club first, which is a huge, huge advantage, and that's what I like about this deal. And it not being 70 million, even though 70 million is much better for us now than 42, I still think keeping 30% of his rights is the right decision for Real Madrid. And honestly, all in all, I hope it works out for Gonzalo Garcia. I think he's a sensational talent. And, I think he could have helped us, but for his career, this is the right decision. I'm just excited to see or maybe even a little bit worried to see, what do we do in the transfer market now? Is Endrick the backup 9 then? Is Endrick actually going to be the backup 9? Do we maybe go for like a Budimir type of striker, that Joselu, you know, recreation, or somebody like Muriqi? Well, I think Muriqi, but I think Muriqi joined someone. I think Muriqi actually went to Turkey or something like that. But you know what I mean? That type of mold of a striker, that tall striker, the poacher that can just stay in the box, can, you know, score some headers, and when we need him to, he can poach those goals. He can be the final finisher, which Joselu was in that sensational UCL campaign. Now, I think that was all on Gonzalo Garcia. The 70 million deal has completely been shut down, and we have done the 40 plus 2 million deal with keeping the 30% of his rights in order to keep the sell-on clause and the first refusal right. If they decide to sell him, we're going to be the first club they will offer him to, and then the sell-on clause, of course, will be 30%. So if they sell him for 100 million, we can, you know, bag 30 million euros just from that deal, which is honestly which is crazy. Honestly, I think this was the right decision for Real Madrid to do, even though he could have helped us a lot on the pitch this season. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is not about Gonzalo Garcia. I think we have gone everything about Gonzalo Garcia already. Let me know down below if you want to know anything more about Gonzalo Garcia. Maybe I can answer you if I didn't answer anything, you were interested in, but I hope I did. Raul Asensio suffered a muscle injury and will be sidelined. Real Madrid confirmed. The defender is expected to be out for 6 weeks. However, don't you worry. I know a lot of you will be like, oh no, we can't sell him. This doesn't change anything. The transfer window will still be on after he's fit. And the clubs that are looking in to sign Asensio, we will be accepting those offers. It's just up to this guy to finally realize that he is not Real Madrid quality and he needs to leave. So don't worry, it doesn't matter that he is injured right now. We will be looking into maybe some other center backs. If we are not, we are definitely still looking to sell one of Mastan Suono, now Gonzalo Garcia, which has already been sold apparently, and Raul Asensio to make up space for Yan Diomande and Rodri to be registered if they do come through to Real Madrid, which the deals are basically already done as well. So this has been everything that I have, saw on Twitter, saw on the news, and I wanted to bring you today, especially about the Gonzalo Garcia deal, which I think is really interesting. I know some of you will be disappointed a lot, but if you ask yourself, really and truly, if Gonzalo Garcia has a sensational season and we bring him back next season, a better striker, where he could have gotten way more games at Fulham, wasn't it the right decision? Or are you just angry that we are not keeping a backup 9 if Mbappe, for example, gets injured or it doesn't work out with Mbappe and Vinicius once again? Let me know down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video. We might be getting another video today or a live stream as well. Let's see. But I thank you so much for watching this video once again, and like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.